We're joined by Jason Altmire, a former Democratic congressman from Pennsylvania, current CEO of Career Education Colleges and Universities. And we're also joined by Evan Stone, CEO and founder of Educators for Excellence. Let me set it up this way, and you guys can correct anything that you think is wrong about this. And Jason, we can start with you. So to me, it's like big picture, right? Because we get in the weeds sometimes with all this stuff. It seems like conservatives are arguing for essentially a more decentralized system that's already a very, very decentralized system in this country. So on the tablet here, I want to put this up. This goes back some years, back to like 2015, but when they ranked the most centralized systems in the world, where the centralized government has a lot of control, you see on the left side of the screen, and then when they said, what's the most decentralized systems in the world, you see it on the right side of the screen, see the United States, they're already fifth in the world in terms of, we already have a lot of local control. So what's going to be better or what's going to be different, Jason, if the administration gets what it wants ultimately?
Well, you're about to see a lot more local control. This is going to lead to more decentralization. It's going to affect the K through 12, apparently more than higher education. And it's been a topic of debate for decades, how much control should be at the federal level versus the state level for what happens in our schools, especially at the K through 12 level. If you look at higher education, there's a lot of debate in the country about what's happening in higher education. And the past administration had huge technical difficulties with rolling out federal student aid programs, with glitches in the system for uploading documents that were required. And it does raise concern that if you have fewer people in the process that wasn't working very well to begin with, how will it get better? But we have been assured by the administration that there will be more efficiency. This will lead to better outcomes. So with that said, I think a part of the issue that you saw was there was a lot of ideological weaponization of the tools of the Department of Education in prior administrations. And those people will not be missed. The people who spent their time going after their political enemies rather than serving higher education in the country.
What do you think, Evan?
Well, to the point of using the tools of the department ideologically, I think we have seen the most ideological uses of the Civil Rights Department ever over the last 50 days since the Trump administration has come into office. I think to your larger point, states already control setting their own standards of what students will learn, selecting curriculum, designing what happens in schools. That is locally controlled. What this would do is it wouldn't help schools improve the quality or give them more autonomy over their instruction. It would allow them to use federal dollars without any oversight. Federal dollars that are intended to increase equity, that are intended to support low-income students, English language learners, rural students, and without the oversight to ensure that these dollars are used on behalf of the populations that they're intended, there's no way to guarantee that that would happen.
Let's talk about that a little bit. Back to the tablet here, and I have some numbers on it, Jason. I want to get your take on what Evan brings up here in terms of where the money goes federally and where you get it. See left to right top of the screen, students with disabilities, low-income backgrounds, rural areas, and then across the bottom, talk about students learning English, homelessness, people or students living or on or near federal properties. I mean, we could highlight really all of these, but I think this is probably the Title I schools with the 26 million, right, Jason? So that's where people are concerned, is that, like I said, we already have a lot of local control. It's probably on average like 90-10 or something like that. So, but what about these programs? Like, I mean, theoretically, and I think this is the plan, maybe a lot of them will stay, right, just be done differently.
I think the policy argument would be that the people at the states and ideally the school boards, the people making the decisions on how those funds are spent, are closest to the issue. How much of that money should be spent on those various programs? Those are all very important programs that you spent. Every state is different geographically and demographically. And what this does by giving local control to states and school boards is it allows the people that are closest to the students, closest to the population of that community, the final say in how those federal dollars are spent. I think that's a legitimate policy discussion.
The also question is like whether the pie overall will be smaller in terms of how much they're spending. Let me go. Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.